right, guys. Got everybody showing up. Thank you for coming out. We're going to have you guys muted, just FYI. Thank you guys for coming out. We're going to be getting into the webinar soon. Just want to go over a little bit of housekeeping. We are going to keep you muted. I do want you to hold your questions if you could till the end, please, and thank you. A good chance I will answer your question before the end, but if for some reason I don't, maybe jot it down on a piece of paper, drop it in the chat so that we can keep it till the end. There will be a Q&A time. I'm going to try to rock and roll. I have quite a few slides to go through, and I'm going to try to rock and roll through them. But I've also been known to go off on some rabbit holes too. So I got my partner in crime down there, Mike. He's going to keep me on the straight and narrow. He's going to be manning the chat and manning the waiting room. For those of you that don't know, I'm TK Cousins. I am one of the partners of the Service Alliance Group, and also have my partner, Mike Carson, the CEO of the Service Alliance Group, with me tonight. And this webinar came about pretty organically because I meet with a lot of business owners, and I would say the number one thing that I hear from business owners is that they struggle with pricing. They don't know their cost of doing business. And in my personal opinion, it's step one. Once you've started your business, once you have your LLC formed and all that stuff. So me and Mike were talking about this, and we decided this is what our first webinar is going to be. We're going to be doing a bunch of different webinars throughout the year, free for people. And it's geared towards the business owners. There's so much good information out there already for techs and training and all these different things. So we really want to focus on the business owners. That's what Service Alliance Group is all about. And knowing your cost of doing business is really number one. So if, like I said, keep yourself muted, drop your questions in the chat. We're going to get to them at the end. And hopefully I will rock and roll through this in time so that we have plenty of time to go over questions. And as always, if at the end you don't get to ask your question, or maybe you're a little bit shy and don't want to drop the question, in front of everybody, just email me. A lot of you have my phone number. Shoot me a text or call me. I'll be more than happy to help you in any way. So let's get right into it. Today we're going to be going over the cost of doing business. I'm your presenter, TK Cousins. We're going to be cracking the code to maximize profit. Real quick, we're going to go over some acronyms that we're going to use during this webinar. First, of course, cost of doing business, CODB. Your APC, which is your average per call. Your KPI, which is key performance indicator. We're going to be talking about those quite a bit. Profit and loss report. Hopefully you know what that is. If you don't know what that is, that's a red flag, and we need to talk about that more later. FTC or FCC, first call complete, first trip complete. I've had some arguments with people about which one it is, so I just say, in the respect of Matthew James, my brother of the craft, I'm going to say first trip complete. COGS, cost of goods sold, gross profit and gross margin, net profit, net margin, and those are the acronyms. I'll bounce back real quick so y'all can just remember what those are. And I'm going to ask you guys some questions real quick as we get started. And these are questions that I ask a lot of business owners when I talk to them. What's your current cost of doing business? I want you to answer these questions in your head. If I was to ask you right now how much it costs for you to crank up a van and run it to a customer's house, do you know? Some of you might say, oh, well, it's going to cost however much gas I got to burn, because that's all it's going to cost me. No, it's going to cost you more than that, my friend. When did you last calculate your cost of doing business? If it was more than a month ago, it's time to do it again. What is your average per call? What is your current first trip complete percentage? Industry standard is 50%. Are you above it? Are you below it? Are you killing it? And you're one of those unicorns that completes every call you go on? I've heard of them. I want to be one, but I'm not. What is your current recall percentage? Industry standard is less than 10%. If your recall rate's over 10%, that is a KPI you need to be tracking and looking at. When was the last time you reviewed your profit and loss statement? And a better question to add to this is, when was the last time you reviewed your profit and loss statement with a bookkeeper, an actual person that knows what they're doing? Do you know your last 6 month average monthly sales numbers? And what was your net profit last year, last quarter, and last month versus your gross profit? If your answer was I don't know or I'm not sure to any of those questions, congratulations, you're in the right place. If your answer was yes to most of them, you're still in the right place. And if your answer was yes to all of them, you might be in the wrong place, but I thank you for coming anyway. I appreciate you being here and supporting. I love all business owners, but one of my goals and one of the Service Alliance Group's goals is to help you guys know your numbers, because you can't run a business without it. You can't run a business, and I tried doing it for years, and we're going to get into that. If you don't know your cost of doing business, you're just guessing. You're running your van every day, you're taking it to customers' houses, and you're hoping that you're going to make some money. But we're not into this game to guess. I'm going to go over my testimony a little bit. I started in the appliance repair industry a little over 11 years ago. Before that, I guess I was technically in the appliance industry. I was flipping appliances. I was selling refurbished appliances from my mom's garage. I got into appliance repair, uh, really enjoyed it. And man, when I first started out, my service call was 65 bucks, 65 schmackers. I'd roll to your house. And a lot of times I didn't charge much labor at all, 20, 30, 40 bucks. My average per call was 105 labor with service call. I mean, and at the time I thought I was doing great. I was making money. I had money in the bank. Things looked good until they didn't. Here's a little graph of my first year. My average ticket is in yellow there. And my average ticket was right below 150. I usually got out of there with part for a little less than 150. My cost of doing business wasn't high at the time. It wasn't high at all. It was like 75, 80 bucks, something like that. I was very efficient, ran a lean business. And my profit was not where it should be. Now you fast forward to now, my average ticket is well over 300. My cost of doing business has increased. I have 3 technicians plus me, a parts manager, a CSR, a lot of overhead, but my profit has gone up exponentially. So when I'm running these calls, I'm actually making money now. And it wasn't always this way, guys. It wasn't always that way from the beginning. And one of the things that I want to do is, whether you've been doing it for 20 years or whether you've been doing it, this is your first year, let's nip it in the bud now. Let's start charging professional prices. Let's start knowing our numbers, and let's start acting like business owners. Here's the facts. Over 50% of the companies that I talk to do not know their cost of business. I talk to business owners every single week, some on a regular basis. Some just call me to ask questions. Some are my close friends, like my boy Adam down there. I see you. And one of the things that I ask every single business owner the first time I talk to them is, what is your cost of doing business? And it is a test, because I want to know, does this person know their numbers or not? And it's not a judgmental thing. It's not me saying, oh, you're an idiot, you don't know your numbers, because I was there, guys. I didn't know my numbers. I had no idea what it cost me to run a service call. I was just kidding. Man, I was making money. I didn't care. I went from working in a moving company, making hardly nothing, to running service calls, and I thought it was great. I knew it was better than fixing the washing machines in my mom's garage and having to deliver them and do all that stuff that I was doing before. I was making money and I was happy. I didn't care what my cost of doing business was. The average person that I talk to, once we get down to the nitty gritty, is undercharging by $75 or more per call. You take my service call fee when I first started, $65. My service call fee now is $125. It's $125 for me to show up at your house. And that's if you're in my close range. If you're outside of my range and we still go there, it's going to go up. I was undercharging by at least $60, and not, and I'd say 50% of the companies that I'm talked to are doing the same. So if you want to drop an answer in the chat, you can, just to kind of out of curiosity, but think in your head how many service calls you ran last year. The average one-man show, one tech should be running over 1,000 service calls a year. If you're a good tech, if you're a really good tech, you might be running more than that. You might be running, 1,500, 1,300, something like that. But let's say that one of those companies, or you, because it could be you ran 1,000 service calls last year, and you undercharged every single one of those calls by $75. Simple math, folks. You lost $75,000 on the table. You left $75K on the table last year because you were undercharging. This is what makes or breaks a newer growing service company. I don't care if you're a one-man show. I don't care if you're a 20 tech operation. I don't care who you are. You need to be charging professional rates. Here's the big key. If you're a professional. No, if you're not a professional, none of this that I'm talking about. I'm talking to professional appliance repair companies. If you're not a professional, well, then we want to work with you to get you to that professional state. These are the rates that a professional appliance repair company should be charging, not chucking a truck, as I like to call them. But this is what makes or breaks. Think for a second about what your company, or you, if you're a solo operation, could do with $75,000 this year. Now, if you're a multi-tech operation and you're undercharging, that $75,000 increases by how many techs you have. Because if you have 2 techs, you're running 2,000 calls a year. If you have 3 techs, you're running 3,000 calls a year, and vice versa. Or give or take. I'm not giving exact numbers here. Maybe you buy a new van. Maybe you hire a new tech. Maybe you put out some bonuses. Maybe you get some new equipment. Maybe you stop being a cheapskate and buy that air sled that you've been talking about getting for years. Maybe you get that new tool that you've been looking at, or that new gadget that you've been wanting to buy. Maybe you reach out to Mike at AMP Marketing, shameless plug, and get some better marketing and stop playing that guy that doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe you take a hey, we all like vacations. Maybe you take a vacation. Maybe you take that beautiful wife and those wonderful kids of yours on a vacation. And honestly, with $75,000, you could do a bunch of these things. You could do a lot of these things. Maybe you save, maybe you do some investing. All right. So now we're going to get into why is knowing your cost of doing business important. Number one, it defines your break-even number. It tells you what it is you have to do to break even. What it costs you to run the service call should not be what you're charging to run the service call. Let me say that again. What it costs you to run the service call should not be what you're charging to run the service call. You have to make some money, and you have to decide what that percentage is you want to make on each service call. But it's your break-even number. It allows the owner to make educated decisions as you're budgeting, as you're planning, as you're doing things in your company. If you don't know your numbers and at the bare minimum, know your cost of doing business, you're just guessing. It helps owners to budget properly. It makes every call more likely to bring profit. Notice I said more likely. Doesn't mean you're going to make profit just because you know your cost of doing business. There's other steps that has to be taken. This is step number one. So if you don't know your cost of doing business, we're going to help you with that today. Allows for negotiation with warranty companies. This is a big one, guys. When you sit down with American Home Shield, when you sit down with Whirlpool, yes, I'm looking at you, Whirlpool. When you sit down with LG, Samsung, you fill in the blank, whoever they are, whoever it is, the property manager that wants you to come out for $60 and fix it for $95. Whoever that person is, that's trying to lowball you and not pay you what you're worth, you there's no decision to be made. If you're not going to pay me enough to cover my cost plus make some money, I'm not running the call for you. I'm not showing up. I'm not starting my van. When you see guys in the groups, and I see this comment. I've made this comment before. You see guys in the groups and they say, well, I wouldn't start my van for that much. I oftentimes think, yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about. Because I wouldn't start my van for that much. Starting my van for $95 per complete for Whirlpool or any of them. You got to pay me what I'm worth. You got to pay me enough so I'm making some money. That's what I'm out here to do, is make money. I hope y'all are here for the same reason. It draws a hard line in the sand on pricing. I'm pretty much driven that home. Allows to set margin goals for your business. This is a big one. When you're planning, in the Service Alliance group, if you're not a part of the community and in the webinars we've done in the past that were all access and things like that, we talk about a lot about planning and goals and budgeting and things like that. You're knowing your numbers and your cost of doing business and what is part of what allows you to do that and set margin goals for your company. Let's say you're a one-man show and you did $250,000 in gross sales last year. Awesome. Well, what's your goal for this year? Don't you want to do better? Don't you want to make more? Don't you want to set a goal? Don't be greedy. I'm not telling you to be greedy, but set some goals. And the most important reason, and all of these kind of culminate into this reason, make more money, right? That's what we're here to do. We're here to make more money, not be greedy, not hoard the money, not take advantage of people, but we're here to provide professional service, go above and beyond for our customers, and charge professional rates for it. I tell my guys all the time, if you're in and out of a call in 15 minutes, you did it wrong, because that's not the type of service that we provide. We're in there. We're doing professional service. We're putting the floor mats down. The sliders down. We're putting the tool mat down. We're cleaning behind the appliances when we pull them out. We're cleaning that condenser. We're giving the customer education. We're doing all these things that all you professionals out there know to do. So charge accordingly. Charge like a professional. All right, so it's time for a reality check, ladies and gentlemen. Busy does not equal profitable. Man, when I first started, I started out getting busy. I got in with some warranty companies, and I think 210 was paying me like $85 per complete, and an American Home Shield was paying me. I think I got excited when I signed up with American Home Shield. They were paying me like 95 per complete. I thought I was going to get rich. Um, and I was busy, man. The COD started rolling in, the property managers started rolling in. I was rocking and rolling. But then at the end of every year, I'd look at my profit and loss statement. Once I learned what one was and how to look at it, it took me about, I think y'all are gonna laugh at me. I was in my third year before, and my bookkeeper sent them to me all the time. I never looked at them. I didn't know how to look at them. I didn't know how to read a profit and loss statement. What do these numbers mean? Cost of goods sold. And it wasn't until somebody sat me down and showed me what these numbers mean that I started to understand, oh, okay. And I get one of these every month, and I can look at the last month and I can look at this month. So I was busy, but I wasn't profitable. I was looking at these statements and saying, well, I brought a bunch of money in, and I'm constantly looking at my bank account to make sure I got money, but there's no money left over. So I had a full schedule, constant stress, no margin for error. You got to make every call count. Cost of doing business is what it costs your business to run before profit exists. You don't know what you don't know. The fact is, if you don't know how much you're making on a single service call, then you don't know the basics about your business. Let's say your service call is $99 right now. And this is where I was when things started to click for me. My service call was $99. My cost to run a service call was $110. It was costing me $110 to run a service call, and I was charging 99. That was a huge eye opener for me. And it might have been a little bit less than that, but it was around that. I was losing $11 every time I did not repair the appliance. So my sales, my actual jobs that I was selling the repair were having to compensate the ones that I had to walk. We all get walks. We don't sell every job we go on. The goal is to sell the job if it's a good repair. But let's be honest, we all get walks. We all go out on that job, on that call. It's not for it fixing. It's a sealed system issue. It's a broken spider support. It's a bad bearing. It's whatever. And we charge them the service call and leave. Or you're lucky and you find out their dryer's also messed up and you turn it into a full call, but that's another webinar. We aren't in this business to lose money. I don't know about you guys, but I am not out here to collect service calls. I am out here to repair appliances. I tell my technicians this all the time. I got 3 awesome guys working with me, and I tell them all the time, we are out here to repair every appliance that should be repaired. So let's say your average per call is $300. So most calls you go on, service call, labor, parts, whatever, is around $300. Your cost of doing business is 110. Well, no, we're gonna exclude parts. We're gonna exclude parts on this. Your net profit is $190. Now let's look at what happens when you're and this part right here. I thought about not putting in because it's so elementary, but I want you guys to see it. I know that this is common sense. I know that this is super basic, but I want you to see it with your own eyes. So your average per call, your cost per call, your net profit, and your net margin. Okay. As your average per call goes up, so does your net profit and your net margin. Pretty elementary, right? The more you're making, the more you're making. It's simple. Now we're going to look at the same thing with your cost as your cost of doing business increases. So let's say you're a smaller company and your cost per call is less. You're going to be making more, obviously. But as your cost of doing business goes down, your profit margin goes up. One of the reasons you're looking at that profit and loss statement every single month and then reviewing it again every single quarter and then reviewing it again at the end of every single year, comparing it to the previous ones, the last month, the last quarter, the last year, is saying, what can I do to get my cost of doing business lower? What can I do? And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And then, of course, as your average per call goes up, your profit margins are going to go up. So here's a little graph on your profit increase on 30 calls a week. Now, some of you might complete 25 a week. Some of you might complete 20 a week. Some of you might complete 15 a week. I don't know how many calls you're completing a week. But let's say you complete 30 calls a week and you raised your prices by $25. That's $750. Let's say you raised it by $50. That's $1,500. Let's say you raised it by $75. That's $2,250. Now, most of my technicians are doing anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 a day. By raising my price by $75, it's almost like adding a new technician for the week. And I didn't hire a single person. I didn't run any extra calls. I didn't do any extra paperwork. All I did was change that number on the end of the invoice from 175 to 250. And you think to yourself, they're never going to pay that. They'll run. I used to say this all the time. They will run me out of town with a pitchfork. I don't know if EJ's in here, but I used to say that, and EJ's like, "No, they won't, man. No." I used to say that to Doug Shear all the time too. They won't run you out of town. You know who you're going to run out of your business is the cheapskates that you don't want to be working for. in the first place. I don't want to be working for the cheap people. I don't want to be working for the people that don't want to pay $250 to fix their appliance or more. Um, so there's a little graph for you. All right, so some common symptoms. You're underpriced. We're going to get into the good stuff here in a minute, guys. I know y'all are here to figure out your cost of doing business, and I guarantee you we're going to help you with that. You will leave here with the tools you need to figure out your cost of doing business. That is my and Mike's promise to you for tonight, because we got something pretty stinking cool to show you guys. One, your cash flow is off and on. Common symptoms, you're underpriced. One, your cash flow is off and on. Two, you're constantly checking bank with uncertainty. There's nothing wrong with checking your bank. You're a business owner. You should check your bank every single day. You should know how much money you have, what's going in, what's going out. That's important. But the type of bank checking I'm talking about is where you're saying a little prayer to Jesus right before you hit that password in. You're like, "Oh Lord, please let there be enough for today." That's the kind of bank checking I'm talking about. The kind that really gets to you. You're afraid to hire or grow. You want to get more techs on the road. You want to get more vans. You want to do more things. You want to grow your business, but you don't have enough money. You're not showing profit consistently. You're stressed out all the time over money. I've been here, guys. I've been here. I know people that have been here. I've watched other business owners go through this. And I can tell you right now that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And all you have to do is start making some changes. You have to decide today, I'm sick and tired. And I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy. It's not easy. Anybody in here that has made some of these changes in their business know that it's tough and it's hard, but it's worth it. It's worth it for you. It's worth it for your family. It's worth it for your community. And it's worth it for your customers. At the end of the day, it's worth it for your customers because you're providing professional service and they're paying professional prices. You're guaranteeing your work. You're giving that 1 year warranty or 6 month warranty or whatever you're giving. And it looks out for them as well. All right, so now we're going to get into how to calculate your cost of doing business. You don't have to write this stuff down. Everything's going to be, and don't try to do it. Pay attention and listen. Don't sit there and try to do it as I'm going over it. Just listen and learn. And if you already know this stuff, it's great. You need to know your monthly overhead, total payroll burden, your vehicles, gas, maintenance, etc., and how many completed calls. You're going to calculate this monthly, quarterly, and yearly. I know people, I talk to them all the time. I say, "What's your cost of doing business?" They'll say, "Oh, it's, $85." And I'm like, "Cool. When was the last time you calculated?" 2017. Huh? 2017, man, we're in 2026. What are you talking about? You got to calculate this stuff regularly. It changes. The numbers change, so you change. Your insurance might go up. You might hire more employees. You might your rent might go up. You might get some new subscriptions. You might get this. You might get that. Different things. Inflation, cost of gas, cost of maintenance, the cost of anything. All of these things affect your cost of doing business. So we're going to go over what it means on each part of these different things you're going to be using to calculate your cost of doing business. Your total overhead is everything that exists, even if no calls run. So your office, your admin in the office, if you have a CSR, if you're paying your wife, whatever it costs to keep them going. Some of us have parts managers. I have a part-time parts manager I use. Your softwares that you use, your CRM, your phone, your QuickBooks, etc. Your Service Alliance Group membership. If you're a Service Alliance Group member, that's one of your subscriptions. If you're an Appliantology member, that's one of your subscriptions. Whatever subscriptions you have and different things you're paying for, that goes in there. Your insurance, general liability, workers' comp, etc., etc. Your marketing, your office expenses, your tools, uniforms, licenses. all of the different things. And I probably missed a few things, but these are also things that you need to be thinking about on a regular basis. When was the last time, and this is a little one that can cost you if you don't keep your eye on it. When was the last time you went in and actually looked at how many subscriptions you have that you don't use? For the business and personal. Dude, I did it not too long ago. And there was about 5 different subscriptions. I had some kind of Adobe thing that I was paying $150 a year for. I don't even know what it was. I'll just be perfectly honest. I don't know what it was. I canceled it immediately. I was like, what is this thing? I don't even know. I think it's something somebody had me sign up for a long time ago. I never used it. And it was supposed to like fill out paperwork or something for you. But I was spending $150 out of my business a year. It doesn't sound like a lot until you have 7 of them that you forgot about. When was the last time you renegotiated your insurance rates with your insurance company? General liability, workers' comp. Typically, they're not going to budge much on the workers' comp. When was the last time you shopped around? You could be paying way too much for your general liability. All this stuff drives your cost of doing business up or could take your cost of doing business down. Marketing. Are you overspending on marketing that isn't fruitful? Um, Tools, uniforms, licenses, that stuff. I would highly recommend, if you're like me, set a budget for tools because your boy can get a little out of control on the Amazon. I'm just going to be honest. I will go, and it's y'all's fault because y'all post these cool tools in the Appliance Alliance group, and then I see them, and then I think they're cool, and then next thing you know, buy now. And next thing you know, I've spent $400 on Amazon on infrared freaking what are they called? The cameras, the infrared cameras. Yeah, I don't remember. I can't remember who posted that, but I still have not used that infrared camera. Um, if it's not directly tied to a single job, it lives here. Fully burdened labor. All your labor costs required to run calls. This is what it costs you to get that technician out there and pay them to do it. Your technician's wages, hourly, commission, salary, however you pay them. I am a big performance-based pay guy. That's a subject for another webinar, but it does relate to this. If you are not performance-based pay, your techs have no incentive to get that job done efficiently, and quickly. And that'll drive your cost of doing business up because you're paying somebody $35 an hour to sit over there and take 2.5 hours to change some drum rollers on a Whirlpool 2-roller dryer. Payroll taxes. Government's got to get theirs. I've tried to find a way to avoid this. I haven't figured it out. If you figure it out, let me know. But the government's got to get theirs. Workers' comp, benefits, owner pay. If the owner runs calls or is a W-2 employee, I'm a W-2 employee. I also take profit draws from my company. That's a topic for another webinar. If that person disappears and the work stops, their pay belongs here. Total vehicle costs. This is pretty self-explanatory. Your truck's payments or leases, your fuel, your maintenance and repairs, and your auto insurance. And none of this stuff really, like your total vehicle costs, your overhead, your fully burdened payroll, it's all being added up. So it doesn't matter where you put it so much. It's important that you put it in the right place just so you know your numbers and what it costs you in fuel and what it costs you in maintenance and all these different things. But it's all getting added up into the grand total. So at the end of the day, it's important, but it's not, you're still going to get the same result no matter how you add it in. And then your total completed service calls. These are only calls that were completed. They were invoiced and they actually happened. Do not calculate your cost of doing business off of how many calls you ran. So if your CRM is showing you every call and then you go to the bottom of that report and you're looking at it and say, oh, well, we ran 3,500 jobs last year. No. How many did you complete? How many did you mark done, got paid, ran the invoice, all that stuff. It's only completed calls. A scheduled call does not equal a completed call. And this is extremely important if you're going to be doing this regularly, because you want to make sure that you are only calculated completed calls and not just everything that's on the schedule. So there's a little page to show you what it all looks like. Cost per service call, total overhead, total fully burdened labor, total vehicle cost divided by total completed service costs. And you're going to be figuring out the time frame based on what you're doing. So monthly, quarterly, yearly. And you're going to be figuring that out based on how much you work. Now, we've got some stuff to help you with that. We'll go over that in a minute. And we're going to get into a couple of live demonstrations, but knowing your cost of doing business is step number one. You also need to know your average per call, your gross profit and gross margins, your net profit and your net margins, how to read and understand your profit and loss statement. We've already talked about that. How to track KPIs to protect profits and scale your business. I'm going to be going over this later because this was a game changer for my company. If you are not tracking KPIs, I've gotten to the point now where I track them weekly. But if you're not at least tracking them monthly, even if you're a solo operation, it matters. Start tracking KPIs. Numbers matter, and it's the numbers you don't know or aren't tracking that are killing your business. All right, guys. Introducing, here, drum roll. Introducing the Service Alliance Group's free cost of doing business calculator. You guys are the very first people to see this. We just rolled this out for this webinar. Shout out to Mike for his help on this. I helped him along the way, but he was pretty much the man on this. Now, I think if everything goes right, I can click right on here and it'll take me straight to the page.
I also just put it in the chat for everybody as well.
Oh, okay. I think I might have to. Okay. There we go. All right. Do I need to switch to this screen, Mike? Or can you see the cost of doing business calculator?
You're showing the calculator right now.
Okay, perfect. So this is the cost of doing business calculator. It's at Service Alliance Group website at servicealliancegroup.com/CODB. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to get your numbers together and you're going to go through here and you're going to pick what you're doing. Are you doing 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, all the way up to 12 months? You're going to put your current service call free. Let's say that you're doing 12 months and your current service call fee is $99. Then you're going to say, what is your target profit margin for a service call fee? I personally don't make a ton of profit on my service call fee because and this is a personal thing. You have to decide this within your business. You need to figure out what your cost of doing business is and where the sweet spot is for you to get those service calls still and go out. I charge 125, but I'd say a good 10% is a good overall number. Your total overhead for the past 12 months, your total fully burdened tech labor cost for the past 12 months. It's got all the little explanation underneath. Your average hours per service call. Now, let me explain this to you guys. This is not how long it takes you to run the job. This is everything that is put into running that one service call. And I would recommend doing at least 1.5 because that's going to give you your travel there, your travel leaving, your time there, the time your CSR does, and it's an average. You say, well, I run a bunch of calls and I'm done first trip and I'm gone. But what about the ones you got to come back? So this is an average. So I would recommend to do at least 1.5 to know your true billable hours because this calculator is not going to just give you your cost per service call, but it's also going to give you your billable hour rate and what it's costing you to actually pay technicians to be out in the field. Next, you're going to do your total vehicle costs for the past 12 months, your total completed service calls for the past 12 months. Once again, this is completed service calls. This is not how many you have on the schedule. It is how many you completed and invoiced for. And then your owner's pay. If you're a solo operator, do not put owner's pay here and total fully burdened tech labor here. Do one or the other, because you're the only person getting paid. If there's no one else getting paid, it's just you. So if you put $80,000 up top and then $80,000 down here, it's going to calculate it as $160,000. So if you're running calls, it doesn't matter whether you put it down here or put it up top, but just put it in one spot, not the other. Am I right on that, Mike? Because I'm 90% sure I am.
Yes, and that's why at the end we have that checkbox that you can check on that final field that says owner pay not included. So it assumes that the owner works for free, which is included in the other burdened cost.
Yes. Yeah. And don't work for free, guys. All right, let me get back over to the webinar real quick. Here we go. All right. Now we're going to look at some real numbers. Solo operator versus multi-tech operation. I got to rock and roll. Solo operator, way less overhead, has a home office, one van, much less vehicle costs, often doesn't have any employees. Sometimes the CSR, less marketing, cheaper insurance, subscription costs, etc. Life is simple. Life is good. LG. Multi-tech company. Higher overhead, more vans, higher vehicle expenses, office, shop, several employees, office, staff, techs, higher insurance, more subscriptions, etc. Simply put, it costs more. So I did some high numbers on these just to show you guys, because we can bring them down as we go. But we're going to flip back over to the cost of doing business calculator, and we're going to punch in some numbers. So we're going to do 12 months. We're going to say the current service call is $99. We're going to say the target profit margin for a service call is fees 10%. We're going to do a 52,000 overhead. Total fully burdened labor is going to be 85,000. Average hours per service call, we're going to do 1.5. Total vehicle costs, we're going to do $18K a year. Total completed service calls, we're going to do 1,200. I feel like most techs complete 1,200 calls a year. And then we're not going to do the owner's pay. Why did that not do 1,200? Okay. We're not going to do the owner's pay because we already got the owner's pay up here. And then we're going to hit calculate. And once again, this is a high solo tech. This is a guy who's spending way too much money and needs to get his CODB down. Now let's play with these numbers just real quick. So as you can see, his cost per service call is $129. If your cost per service call is $129 as a one-man operation, you're doing a lot of things wrong. If you put your numbers into this calculator and you get a cost per service call of $129, please reach out to me because we got to work on some things. You are not running a very efficient company, and that's just the way it is. But let's take these numbers down a little bit and look at them. Let's take this down to something a little more reasonable. Let's say it's $30,000. Let's say that let's keep your pay the same. We don't want to change your pay. We still want you to get that $85K a year. Let's say that you had a good year that year and your total vehicle costs were $10,000. Now we're down to 104. All right, now let's say you were rocking and rolling that year and you were in 1,500 calls that year. Now we're down to 83. A few more calls here, a few more first completes, a few less recalls. Next thing you know, your cost of doing business is going down. It's not just about knowing your cost of doing business, guys and gals. It's about knowing how to keep it as low as possible. First call completion rates affects your cost of doing business. Recalls affects your cost of doing business. Ordering the wrong part and getting there and open it and saying, oh crap, I know you guys have been there. It affects your cost of doing business. All right, now we're going to look at a multi-tech operation. And as I said, these are high numbers so that we can play with them a little bit and bring them down as we go. Let's say that this multi-tech operation, they're a big fancy company. They're doing 125 a month. Let's say their total overhead for the year is $190,000. Let's say that their total fully burdened payroll is $485,000. We're still going to do the 1.5 hours per service call, maybe a little bit more once you get a little bigger. And then their total vehicle costs, we're going to do $85,000. And then this one's going to go way up because now we got 4 techs running. We got 4 techs running calls. We're going to say they run 4,800 calls a year. The owners pay. This owner pays himself. Okay, he's going to get $95,000. We're going to calculate their service call. This is high. Like I said, I'm starting on the high end and I'm showing you how you bring these things down. And as you bring these things down, this number is going to change. It's costing them $71,000 a month just to keep the doors open. It's costing them $855,000 a year to keep the doors open. That's a lot of money. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to change a few things. Let's say that they adjust their insurance, they adjust some things, they get rid of some stuff they don't need to be paying for, and let's say they get this down to $140K a year. It's doable. And let's say that they switch over to commission-based pay and they start doing things a little bit better on that end and their payroll goes down. Their total vehicle costs, they had a better year this year, and their total vehicle maintenance and fuel and all that stuff was $60,000 a year. Let's say they still ran the same 4,800 calls. We'll just keep that the same. We're not taking any money away from the technician there. They're still at $140 per service call. So when you guys see these companies out there that are charging $150, $175, $199 for a service call, there's a reason. Because they want to make money. They want to go out there and actually make some profit. Now you're going to go in here and you're going to get your numbers for your business. And like I said, these are still high. Like I know my numbers and I'm a 3-man show and they're not nearly as high as these numbers. And this company is supposed to be a representative of a 4 tech company. So what I'm imagining, we have quite a few solo operators in here. And what I want to do next is kind of go over some basic stuff on your cost of doing business. So your cost of doing business is step 1. The real work is going to come next. This is where most owners stall. You get your cost of doing business. You know what it costs to run that service call, but then you don't do anything with that information. You don't make any changes. Maybe you start charging a little bit more here and there. But here's your next steps. You're going to track numbers weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly, your KPIs. You're going to price with confidence. You're going to train techs on proper pricing processes. You're going to start documenting your processes. We're going to do eventually a webinar on SOPs, standard operating procedures. If you are a 1-man show and it's just you or just you and your wife or just you and a secretary, now is the time to start documenting your processes. All the little things that you do on a daily basis that you know and only you know, start documenting them in documents, not on paper, in documents, in Google Docs. We have an entire course on that in the All Access library. Mike put together a really great course going over that. Utilize AI more in your business. AI is one of the most powerful tools we have at our disposal right now. And if you're not using it in your business, especially when it comes to your numbers, you're making a huge mistake. And Service Alliance Group can help. This is why all access membership exists. You don't have to try to figure out things alone. You use proven systems, not theory. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Trust me, it's much easier to help get help where you need it. Get ongoing help and support and be a part of a growing community of business owners. We're stronger together, guys. This is what you get with all access membership. And by the way, the cost of doing business calculator, just like I said, that's free to everyone. Tell your friends about it, tell whoever about it. That's yours no matter what. That's something we put together. But this is for the ones that want to take it a step further. These are for the ones that want to really work on their business. We have the largest appliance business doc SOP library online, the largest tech sheet service manual library online, owner focused courses, like I just spoke about, an appliance AI triage tool, partner discounts, and community and help. If today's webinar was helpful, we would love to help you more. If you want help to grow efficiently, build systems, processes, make confident business decisions, run your business with less stress, all access membership is there when you're ready. And you may say I'm not quite ready. Well, we're still here to help you. That's why we made this cost of doing business calculator for free. We got a promo code for you guys that joined the webinar tonight. It's CODB 2026. Some of you are already all access members, and we appreciate your support. I will say this: if you are an all access member and you're not utilizing the SOPs and the different things that we have in there, and you're wondering how and you're wondering what you need to do to utilize them better, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. That's what we're here for, is to help you. But use that promo code. You'll get 20% off your membership. It's $100 savings for your year membership. All right, Mike is going to drop this link in the chat. This is a workbook that I put together for you guys. This one's also a freebie, and it is to help you continue on with your cost of doing business. So this isn't a one and done. This isn't a, oh, I calculated my cost of doing business and now I'm good to go. This needs to be an ongoing process for you. I calculate my cost of doing business now once at the end of every month. It's part of my business. It's like I have to know what it was last month. And then I calculated every quarter. And I didn't always do this, guys. I didn't always know. I calculated my cost of doing business I think it was at my first ASTI ever. I ended up calculating my cost of doing business, and I learned what it was, and it was cheap back then. I think it was like 85 or $75 or something. And I was like, oh, great. I'll just raise my prices a little bit. I'm good. But then I never calculated it again. I thought, oh, I know what my and then I went and I did it again. I was like, hold on. My cost of doing business is well over $100 now. I'm not making enough money. So I put together a workbook for you. We're not going to go through the workbook for sake of time. How AI can help. Get a Chat GPT Plus account. Your info is safer there. Don't be putting all your personal information into some free chat bot out there. It's just better. I'm not an AI expert. Mike is much better on that stuff, but I know that your information is way safer if you put it into the paid subscription. It's $20 a month, guys. Use it to help analyze your profit and loss report. I upload my profit and loss reports to Chat GPT. I upload my KPI reports to Chat GPT. I upload custom reports to Chat GPT, and I let AI help me be the business analyst and help me, because I'm not a business analyst of any way, shape, or form. I'm an appliance repair technician that's trying to run an efficient and lean appliance repair company and help others do the same thing. Get it to help you with budgeting and planning for the year. ChatGPT helped me with my entire 2026 financial budgeting for Richmond Appliance, guys. Run KPI reports where I talk about. Don't use it like Google. It's more powerful than that. And start dedicating time to learning how to use AI. Start dedicating time of your day, your business, your time, your schedule to learning how to use it. Some final tips: schedule time for what's important. I'm rocking through this, guys, because I want to get to some questions. Documenting your processes. Delegate the ones you have down. Start tracking KPIs today. Hire a CSR if you don't have one. Hire a bookkeeper or an accountant. Decide what you want to do and do it with excellence. Delegate everything else. Those last two are big. And this is the most important tip. And I say this at the end of every presentation I do, or at least I try to. Never let work become more important than God or family. We do all of the stuff we're doing right now. We work hard and we do all these things, but don't ever let your business come before your family. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're a business owner. I'm not saying don't make sacrifices. You're going to have to. But your children will not talk to to your grandchildren about how you got your cost of doing business down. Cost of doing business is important if you want to be a business owner, but don't ever let this stuff become more important than God or family. If you don't believe in God, that's on you. But don't let this stuff take you away from them and destroy that, because those are the things that really matters. They're the reason why we do these things. They're the reasons why we work hard. I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'm sorry that was a little longer winded than I expected. Um, if you need any help during this process, don't hesitate to reach out. The cost of doing business calculate, but use ChatGPT. Get that. I'm telling you, it made it so much easier for me to start streamlining so many processes in my business when I started utilizing AI. And Mike and EJ and Adam and other guys that know me, and those of you that know me, they know I'm not a computer guy. I like computers hate me and I hate computers. And at the end of the day, if I can use it, you can use it. Um, and that's all I got. I hope the workbook helps you. I hope the free calculator helps you. Um, any questions? Any questions?
Wow, TK, that was awesome.
Thank you, buddy.
So much information. All right. We got you guys put your comments and questions in the chat. If you learned something, let us know. Um, I'm gonna skip Garrett's real quick and go back to it. Brian Gerard, I hope I didn't tear that up too bad. Brian says on the calculator, service call fee spot, how do you average in the COD side and all the different warranty rates to get one rate to use in the calculator?
I would
Example,
do an average.
COD is 115, then warranty rates range from 115 to 200.
Yeah, I would do an average. So if your rate's between 115 and 200, I would split it in the middle. I mean, you're not going to get exact, but what it is currently doesn't change any of the other numbers. So what you could literally do, and this is what I would do if I was you, I would hopefully your CRM, you can pull a report of your COD jobs versus your warranty jobs. I know I can on Workies. And I would calculate what it's costing me to run those COD calls, and then I'd calculate what it's costing me to run those warranty calls. And if you're and when I say a service call fee, that's that's what you're charging to come out. That's your trip charge, your diagnostic fee, your whatever. That's not your full complete. I hope I made that clear. I don't know if I did during the presentation, but your service call fee is what you're charging to go out and run the call. So I would do one calculation and play with it, like play with it a bit. And I'd be interested to hear what you get if you don't mind sharing your results with me. I'd keep them anonymous. But play with it a bit. Do the middle. So if it's between 115 and 200, do it at like say 150 or 145, and then do them separately. So do your COD, and then you could break it all the way down to doing it per warranty company. Um, that's what I would do.
All right. Garrett said they're a self-servicing small, medium-sized appliance dealer. 15 to 18 million in retail sales. and they run 4 techs. They do about 3,800 jobs a year. Says he's never made a dollar. It's a loss to the business year over year. Sales profits have to absorb the loss from the repair side. Um, they charge 140 to 180 depending on the call, out of warranty plus labor, not including sealed systems. They're competitive with their market in offering service is a sales tool as well. We have too much warranty work and limited factory service in our area. Ask for rate increases every year and get pennies or no increase. To break even, I think I need to charge 300 plus per service call after all the other expenses. He's wondering if anybody else is in the similar situation. And I guess he's wondering how to deal with this situation to make things better.
That was a lot of information, and I only remember
Yes.
like I only remember like a little bit of it. But if so the gist of it, from what I could hear, is his sales are having to supplement the service side.
Yes.
Okay. That is something I've never had to deal with, and I'm not going to pretend like I know, but I don't see any reason why that should be the case. Something is wrong. Um, Something is wrong there because if you're, he said his service call was what, $140?
140 to 180, depending on the call, if it's out of
Okay.
warranty plus labor.
Okay. There's so many other numbers that need to be looked at. His first call completion rate, his recall rate. Um, I I personally don't know. I wouldn't have a good answer with that, but I would definitely say reach out to me and I would love to talk. You sound like you probably might have more experience in the appliance industry than I do. If nothing else, I'd love to chat with you outside of this, but that's probably not going to be one I can really give much good advice on. Just because it sounds like that's a pretty heavy duty operation he's running over there. And but your service side should definitely be making money. I will say that. Um, I will
All
that
right.
would be my 2 cents.
Darren's got a question. What would be the best advice to hire a second tech from being a one man show?
Say that again. What would be the
What would be the best advice to hire a second tech from being a one man show?
hire CSR first?
Yes.
Do not think about hiring a technician until you have a fully trained CSR, and do not think about hiring a technician until you are ready. The number one mistake that I see people make and that I made myself, and I've made it several times. You'd think I'd learn, but I hired technicians before I was ready. Um, Number one, do you have all your SOPs in place? Number two, do you know your cost of doing business and are you charging professional rates? Can you afford that technician? Because unless you find that unicorn technician, a lot of them cost you more money at first until you work the kinks out of them. Um, so my number one tip would be hire a CSR first, get all of your ducks in a row and make sure you're ready and then hire that first tech.
All right. Danny says, my average call is above 300. My problem is not enough leads in a very competitive market. How do you balance needing to charge more with fear of COD leads drying up?
I'm gonna try to find these as I go because he says over 300.
He's his average,
Oh, his APC is
his
over 300.
yeah, his average per call is above 300.
Average per call 300. That's that's good. I'd say you still have some wiggle room there. I would say I would say keep an eye on it here, but if you're it I would like to know how much he's spending in marketing first and foremost, because that's going to be a huge part of it. If you're staying busy and your average per call is 300 and you're not spending a ton in marketing, that's a good thing. But I think you still have a little bit of wiggle room as far as pricing goes, because my average per call was right around 250, and I raised my rates again not too long ago, and my average per call is now between 300 a little, and actually last month, or the last time I did them, which was middle of this month, we're right around 325, and I'm still not getting any complaints. And every market is different. It's not going to be the same for every single company. And at the end of the day, are you making money? Like I said in the beginning, we don't want to be greedy. We don't want to drive customers away, but you also want to, let me rephrase that. We do want to drive the wrong customers away, and we want to attract the right customers. I hope that helps. But definitely look at your marketing. Did he happen to say how much he's spending in marketing?
No. All right, let's move on to the next one. Carlos says, I only charge a service fee if the customer does not get the repair and it's $100. So $100 service fee. But I
Okay.
charge 180 in labor plus parts. Am I losing by doing work this way?
Uh, it depends on what your cost of doing business is. Yeah, I can't answer that question unless we know your cost of doing business. Um, the answer is, what's your cost of doing business? If so, he's charging 180 for a complete.
Yes,
Yeah, I
plus
mean,
parts.
just off what that number, you're leaving money on the table. You should not be walking out of customers' houses for $180. Trust me, because I used to do it all the time. You're leaving money on the table.
All
I can tell
right.
you that faux show.
Richard says, I'm very new to this and my service call is $80. I'm in a small town where there's only one other appliance repair company. I've only been in this for 3 months. I definitely want to be a professional and enjoy working on appliances. I would even be willing to go to work for free for anyone working on refrigerators for on-hand training. All right.
Anybody want a free tech for
Yeah.
refrigerators?
Anybody want a free tech? I'm sure a lot of people will
We got a
take you
free
up
tech.
on
No, just joking. So what's his
that.
question?
uh, I I thought there was a question in there, but evidently not.
Well, hey,
That's my bad.
what was his name? Richard?
Richard.
Richard, reach out to me, TK at servicealliancegroup.com. I'd love to help you in any way I can, brother. Congratulations on starting your business. And if we can help, man, we're here to help you.
All right. Someone, Justin Bell asked, are most people using Blue Book pricing? That actually could bring up a good point. How does that affect things with your cost of doing business?
I mean, if you're charging Blue Book price, the Blue Book is a tool. Many people use it and price it exactly the way it says. Many people use it as a, hey, this is the industry standard for this repair. They have it out on their laptop. And it's customizable. Me personally, I don't use the Blue Book. I use tiered pricing. It's simple. It's there's no guesswork. You tier one's this, tier two's this, tier three's this. Parts markup is full blown retail plus $25. I try to keep things simple. Oftentimes, business owners like to overcomplicate things and get into a bunch of getting their techs to do a bunch of math out there in the field. We're not out there to do math. We're out there to run service calls and make money. So tier one, tier two, tier three. If you want to use the blue book, use the blue book. I personally don't use it.
All right. Let's see. I got Garrett with two final questions. We'll just go over those real quick. Um, for pre-screen, pre-order parts jobs, do people with a few techs do their own research, or do you have an office person, CSR, non-CSR, pre-order the parts?
I think I think there's several ways to handle that. If you're trying to build an excellent technician, you should have them doing it. But if they're not there yet, you need to either have a lead tech slash service manager helping them with their pre-screening. Right now, I'm not running service calls, so one of the things that I do is I help with pre-screening. And I mean, I'm calling customers, I'm doing video conference calls with customers, I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that when I run that truck out there, I'm making money. I've even been going out on a lot of these property management jobs. If I see a Frigidaire top mount that's not cooling in either section, I'm gonna run out there real quick and pop that back wall off that freezer so my tech doesn't waste his time. Because my techs are more valuable than me right now because I'm handicapped. I'm sitting I can pull a back I can pull an evaporator wall off the back of a freezer, but I can't pull that French door bottom mount out like I used to. I say that to say this. There's several ways to do it, but don't put unreasonable expectations on your tech. You got to train them on how to pre-trip diagnose things. And that's a skill. That's a process. My partner Austin is a master of it, and my plan is to one day have him as the guy who does that full time. But right now it's me, and our first call completion rate I think is going to be better this month. So that's a big one, man. First call completion rate is it's what it's all about. If you
All
can get
right,
that first call completion rate up,
that's actually all of our questions. So,
hey,
all right. Now everybody
we
can
did
go
it.
and start playing with their numbers first thing in the morning.
Yeah, get the workbook, go to the calculator, use that. If you have questions, if you need anything, reach out to us. We're gonna be doing these webinars throughout the year. And if you if you haven't gone over to servicealliancegroup.com and checked it out, check it out. If you're an all access member and you're not utilizing it the way you should, reach out to me. I want to know why. I want to know why you're not utilizing it. What could we do better? What could we do differently? We're always here to improve. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for joining us. And you got any other closing remarks, Mike?
Nope, that's it. We're good to go. You guys get out there and start figuring out your cost of doing business and start making some real money and
Yeah,
change
there
your
you go.
lives, change your
Yeah.
family's lives.
Amen. God
Awesome,
bless y'all. We will catch you
awesome
on the
job.
next one.
Awesome
Thank you.
job.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.